How do you obtain a law enforcement declaration without a police report in New York? Trafficking survivors in New York can pursue federal T visa protection without ever filing a traditional police report, a fact that surprises many applicants who assume a formal complaint is mandatory. Federal T visa regulations do not require a police report to request or submit a law enforcement agency declaration, which is a separate and legally distinct document completed by a qualifying government agency. A law enforcement declaration is completed on USCIS Form I-914 Supplement B, which provides evidence that the agency believes the applicant is or has been a trafficking victim and has complied with any reasonable requests for assistance if any were made. The form is completed and signed by a qualifying government agency with proper jurisdiction over the trafficking conduct at issue, not by the victim or their attorney, and is submitted to USCIS as part of the T visa application under Immigration and Nationality Act Section 101A, 15, T. The declaration may serve as evidence that the applicant cooperated with reasonable requests to assist in the detection, investigation, or prosecution of trafficking or of a crime in which trafficking was at least one central reason. It is not a court filing and does not require a judge's signature, and USCIS reviews it alongside other application materials to determine whether the applicant meets the cooperation requirement under 8 Code of Federal Regulations Part 214 Subpart C. Form I-914B is optional supporting evidence, and USCIS may also consider other credible documentation of cooperation, while an applicant may proceed without a declaration if the age exemption or trauma exception applies. A police report and a law enforcement declaration serve entirely different purposes and are legally distinct under current T visa rules in 8 Code of Federal Regulations Part 214 Subpart C. A police report documents that a crime was reported to a local department, while the law enforcement declaration provides evidence that the certifying agency believes the applicant is or has been a trafficking victim and has cooperated with reasonable requests for assistance if any were made. Many trafficking victims never file a police report because they fear retaliation from their traffickers or distrust law enforcement because of their immigration status, and the T visa program accounts for this reality by allowing declarations from agencies far beyond local police departments. In New York, several types of agencies may qualify to complete Form I-914B if they have the responsibility and authority to detect, investigate, or prosecute the trafficking conduct at issue. Under current federal regulations, a qualifying law enforcement agency may include a federal, state, tribal, or local law enforcement agency, prosecutor, judge, labor agency, Children's Protective Services Agency, Adult Protective Services Agency, or another authority with responsibility and authority to detect, investigate, or prosecute severe forms of trafficking. Local police departments such as the NYPD, Nassau County Police Department, and Suffolk County Police Department may sign declarations, as can district attorney offices including the Kings County DA, Queens County DA, and Nassau County DA. Federal law enforcement agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Homeland Security Investigations have jurisdiction over many trafficking cases and regularly complete Form I-914B for survivors who cooperated with federal investigations. Federal labor agencies including the United States Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission often investigate labor trafficking cases and can sign declarations for victims who were trafficked in workplace settings. The New York State Attorney General's Office and the New York State Department of Labor also qualify as signatories for cases within their investigative or prosecutorial authority. Child Protective Services agencies including the New York State Office of Children and Family Services and local CPS offices can sign Form I-914B for minor victims or cases involving child exploitation, which is particularly important for victims who were trafficked as children and never had any contact with the police. The key requirement is that the signing agency must have authority to investigate or prosecute the trafficking conduct at issue, and the agency does not need to be a traditional law enforcement body. Over a dozen types of agencies can sign Form I-914B, which means victims who never contacted police still have viable paths to obtaining a declaration and meeting the cooperation requirement for T visa eligibility. A qualifying agency completes and signs Form I-914B based on its knowledge of the trafficking facts and the applicant's compliance with any reasonable requests for assistance if such requests were made. The process typically begins with the victim or their immigration lawyer contacting the agency to request that it complete the form, and an experienced attorney can identify the appropriate agency based on the facts of the case and the jurisdiction involved. Adult applicants who do not qualify for the age exemption or trauma exception generally still need evidence that they contacted a qualifying law enforcement agency with proper jurisdiction and complied with any reasonable requests for assistance. An immigration attorney handles every step of the application process, including identifying the appropriate agency, preparing the request for Form I-914B, gathering supporting evidence, and assembling the complete T-visa application for submission to USCIS. Contact Shankar and Associates PC at 800-461-1467, located at 518 Plainview Road, Plainview, New York, 11803, to schedule a consultation with a New York T-visa law firm that helps trafficking survivors in Nassau County, on Long Island, and throughout New York pursue federal protection. Contact Shankar and Associates PC at 800-461-1467, located at 518 Plainview Road, Plainview, New York, 11803, to schedule your consultation today.